At a workshop we recently co-sponsored, there was a presentation on the Department of Defense's PNT, or Assured Positioning, Navigation, and Timing program. As you can imagine, the list of initiatives in this program to recognize GPS vulnerability and the fact that our military forces need PNT, regardless of whether there's GPS jamming and spoofing going on, the list of programs and projects was very impressive. At the end of the presentation, there was a bit of a pause, and then one of the attendees at the workshop stood up and asked, well, this is all very well and good, but 99% of GPS users are not in the Department of Defense. Where's the Assured PNT program for the rest of us? Good question, right? Well, I was telling this story to a senior official at the Executive Office of the President about a week later, as we were discussing the need for resilient PNT and assured PNT in the United States. And he looked at me and said, well, I guess for the moment, Dana, it's you and the RNT Foundation. So welcome to the quarterly update of the Resilient Navigation and Timing Foundation, where we worry about the 99% of GPS and GNSS users who are not in the U.S. military, but for whom GPS is so critically important to virtually every technology that they depend upon. This is our first ever video update, and the first thing that I want to do is to thank you very much for your membership and support. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do our job without you. And we also appreciate when you connect us or send our materials to folks through social media and through other mediums, and just generally helping us to get the word out. So what have we been doing for the last 3 months? And has it been making a difference? Well, good questions. So in terms of what we've been doing, as you know, we are a scientific and educational organization. So we spend a lot of time educating the public and our leaders about the very important issues related to GPS vulnerability and the need to protect, toughen, and augment GPS and GNSS. We put out 3 newsletters with over 60 different news items that reached over 3,000 people in the global PNT community. Also, we had 5,000 people each month visiting our website, which we refurbished in the last 3 months. Hope you like it and find it more attractive and even more useful than the old one. In terms of conventional media, we publish articles in Maritime Executive Magazine and Inside GNSS. And we contributed to articles in 5280 Magazine, Security Management, and the Wall Street Journal. We also gave interviews to reporters from the Center for Investigative Reporting and Business Week. On top of that, we co-sponsored a workshop with the Alliance for Telecommunications Industry Solutions on the needs of timing receivers. And we helped lead a workshop and put together a workshop with the National Institutes of Standards. We've also done a lot of education for people in government as well. Marty Fega, our Vice President, and I continue to serve on the National Positioning, Navigation, and Timing Advisory Board, and as senior advisors to Strategic Command's Purposeful Interference Response Team. Marty and I also met with an Undersecretary at the Department of Defense and are scheduled to meet next week with the CIO of the Department of Defense to discuss our critical PNT issues. I've also met with people at the Executive Office of the President, staff on both the House and the Senate side of Congress, and I have a meeting with the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security in just a few days. I've also been invited out to Northern Command to brief the new Commander, General O'Shaughnessy, about the need for resilient PNT, the importance to the homeland and critical infrastructure. The RNT Foundation also filed comments with the FCC about adjacent band interference concerns, a matter that's now pending before the Commission, as you probably know. But have any of our efforts borne any fruit? Are we making a difference? Well, we think so. Some of the indications are that the conversation certainly seems to be changing. People aren't saying anymore, do we have a problem? They seem to be saying, what do we do about the problem? Which is a good sign. The European Union, for example, has come out and taken a position that GNSS, or space-based position, navigation, and timing, alone is insufficient when you're using safety of life or other critical applications, and you need to have other things to add into the PNT mix. And it's a very good sign that we're having an impact in that Congress is really taking notice of the problem and starting to demand action. They're getting impatient with 14 years and 3 administrations not really doing anything, and they're starting to pass legislation. As you know, the 2018 appropriations for the Department of Defense included $10 million for a GPS backup technology demonstration. And the 2019 National Defense Authorization Act has provisions for another $5 million to be added to that project. Also, the 2019 National Defense Authorization Act has language that will require the Department of Transportation to take action on their 2004 mandate to go out and acquire a backup capability for GPS so as to protect our critical national and economic security interests. And as we look around the world, other nations are beginning to act also. As you know, the United Kingdom has had a very deliberate program to address the critical vulnerabilities in various parts of their economy and security because of their dependence upon GNSS. South Korea is upgrading their LORAN-C system to a broader, more effective, more automated, and more accurate eLORAN system. And we've seen papers that have indicated that China and Russia are looking at making their LORAN systems more accurate and updated also. And we've heard reports that several other nations are looking at LORAN or eLORAN and other technologies as a way of eliminating their critical dependence upon space-based positioning, navigation, and timing services. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that the upcoming theme for the IAIN World Congress is resilient navigation. So have we been making a difference? Yes, we have. We're in a much different place now than we were even 6 months ago. And it's due in a large part to your support and encouragement. And again, I thank you very much for that. I hope that I can continue to rely on you to help us get the word out to everyone about the need to protect, toughen, and augment GPS. As the Department of Homeland Security has reminded us, GPS is a single point of failure for critical infrastructure, and none of us wants to live in a world without that critical infrastructure and those networks. In our next short video, we'll discuss some of the key points about Protect, Toughen, and Augment that everyone should be aware of. Until then, thanks again for all of your support. I look forward to talking to you soon.